Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hayden Nix along with Mr. Thomas Lipham. We're at the Museum of Discovery for our next at-home discovery, one that you can do at home. Now, remember last week we started messing around with dry ice, a really cool thing, especially this time of year. It becomes that spooky way of maybe telling some stories or showing off a cool Halloween party, especially with the liquid and having that little fogginess setting up. But last week we talked about the sounds it can help make with metal, but this time we're going to be talking about floating ghosts.
That's right. So once again, whenever we're working with dry ice, we want to make sure to have our safety equipment on. So you never want to touch it with your bare hands. You always want to protect your eyes. So kitchen gloves work great, so do those gardening gloves. And what we're going to do is, last week we tried to make a squawking noise with this one. We just couldn't really make it happen. But we are going to get to see a floating ghost. Okay. So the way we start is we simply add some hot tap water and pour it into a level baking dish. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a small piece of dry ice. This large one we're going to set on the table, and I'm going to show you something with that here in a little bit, but I'm just going to set that right there. You see it's already starting to slide. And we're going to get a very small piece of dry ice. Now, like I said, you don't want to touch it with your bare hands, so just to get the smallest pieces out, I recommend a small spoon. Here we go. And if we get one of these small pieces and you gently put it on your water, it's going to start floating. If you look, it'll actually propel itself. Now, what's happening is this dry ice is going through a process, a phase change called sublimation, where it changes from a solid to a gas. Well, when that gas pushes out and down and out from the water, it's going to propel itself across the water. So you get your floating ghost.
That is really cool.
And as these get smaller and smaller, they'll often start spinning, and they do these cool little dances. Oh, here we got a spinner up there.
That is really cool. So you can just keep playing around with this and just kind of watch the motions there and just observe the coolness of the dry ice and the warm water working together to help create that sublimation process, going from a solid to a gas instantly there. So that is a really cool thing to see. Again, you got to break it up though, so you can't put the big chunk in there. That'll create an entirely different process.
Now,
a lot of fun with this setup here.
I got one surprise for you.
Oh, okay.
So we set that one there, but what I didn't really show you is that this is now going to be flat on the bottom. It has all the little sharp edges have kind of leveled out.
Okay.
And if we take a look, it will now glide because the table is very smooth.
Cool.
So this is effectively like an air hockey puck, but instead of the air coming from the table, it's coming from the puck itself. So it's creating its own cushion of air to float on. Now, this is really fun, but it also has some risk involved. So if this piece were to slide off the edge of the table, particularly be careful if it gets caught in the side of your shoe. If you're wearing a sandal, you don't want it getting caught. So you do have to be careful when you're working with this, but it is so cool to have a smooth enough surface to get your dry ice ghost to float.
And possibly new air hockey table with using a little bit of dry ice. Fun there.
I can see that going very poorly, like smacking it really hard and shattering it across the room.
But that's really awesome. Well, Thomas, thank you for letting us come by once again.
Absolutely.
It's always fun, and it's a really great experiment. And guess what? We've got more. So don't forget to tune in next week. Another episode of At Home Discovery dedicated to dry ice and all the cool things that you can do with it. Stick around. You want to stay tuned for that one.